today I'm going to do something a little bit different, but it's very much at viewers' request. I have been asked many times what I use for skincare. So if you're not interested in that, by all means, just go on to the next video. But if you are, here is at least a partial answer to the many questions I get about my skin. Because I do think that it's not too wrinkly for someone my age. And I do try to take really good care of it, primarily by using sunscreen and some other products, and those are the things that I want to share with you today. But I don't have on a garden hat. I should probably have one on because it is sunny and warm today. And first of all, physical protection is probably the #1 thing you can do to protect your skin. That and selecting a good gene pool. Because while I was plagued by not good skin when I was in junior high and high school, that has served me a little bit better later in life because my skin tends to be on the oily side, which makes it, I think, a little bit less prone to wrinkles. So there is my philosophy on that score. So my regimen is not cast in stone, and I do mix it up a little bit depending on what products I find work for me. I look at everything, however, through a lens of the fact that I have very sensitive skin. It is rosacea prone, and being blue-eyed and fair, I have that kind of peaches and cream complexion that can really sunburn pretty easily, and that also tends to be very sensitive. So I'm going to show you some of the products that I use, keeping in mind that for all of these, make sure that you test them first. I'm not a dermatologist or a skincare expert. That is my disclaimer. So make sure before you try anything that you test it out to make sure that it won't create any negative effects on your own skin. First, do no harm. And in between these, I want Stuart to show some pretty shots of the garden so that you don't get bored just looking at me and at my bottles. First of all, Stuart, can you show them in the distance the gorgeous allium in the potager? I'm still waiting for all of that boxwood to dry out so I can prune it. But it really is beautiful. And then it's not as glorious as it was, but the Chinese snowball viburnum still looks beautiful with all of those interesting seed heads on them after the flowers, like snowflakes, have fallen to the ground. So now let's return to our regularly scheduled program and talk about my skincare. I use a number of different things to cleanse my skin. I have used Cetaphil, which is fairly gentle. I have used CeraVe. I believe they've got a salicylic skincare cleanser that I sometimes use. I sometimes use Dove soap, but usually I use, and I don't have it with me because I'm out of it right now, but I usually use the foaming cleanser that comes as part of the Zeo skincare line. It can be a little bit pricey, but I don't use a lot of it, and a lot of times I'll just kind of go back and forth, maybe using my Cetaphil and then using the Zeo cleanser.
Make sure they can see the logo.
Oh, so can you see the logo?
Turn a little bit.
It's just Zeo Skin Health.
Oh, the Z on the side.
Yeah, and we'll put links to all of these products. And he was the person who developed Obagi, if you're familiar with that. So while I don't use all of the products in that line, I do use my favorites because, again, they're kind of at a high price point. But my philosophy is, if you're going to spend money on something, I would rather spend it on my skin than on jewels. Now, if you said, what about skincare versus manure for your garden? I'd be a toss-up. But I really think it's good to make an investment in really good skincare, that over, say, a pair of expensive shoes. So if I have a rosacea flare-up, which fortunately I really haven't had a major one in a while, I find that for me, my triggers tend to be humidity, indoor heat, when I just feel really claustrophobic or when I have just too much stuff on my face. But when I have a flare-up, first of all, I will use this azelaic, I'm probably butchering that, gel. I believe it's also, this might be the generic for Finacea gel, if I have a flare-up. If I do not, I don't use this on a daily basis because it can really dry out your skin. What I do use if I have a flare-up, or not often, especially during the winter, I end the rest of my routine. This is the last thing I put on at night, not during the day, but I put on this Squalane Oil. Again, don't judge me on my pronunciations. I could be completely wrong. I get this online. It is very inexpensive, and this is 100% pure olive derived. And I have found that it kind of locks in the skincare that I put on beforehand, and it provides a moisture barrier for me. So I really like it, especially during the winter. So now let's back up a little bit and talk about any kind of physical items that I might use for exfoliation or to cleanse my skin. Stuart, are you just rapt with attention for this?
I'm into it.
Usually I just use my hands. I don't use any kind of rough sponge or anything like that. I sometimes will use a rough washcloth to take off my eye makeup or to gently exfoliate my skin, but I don't use any kind of buff puff. I have a Clarisonic and I will periodically use it, but for me, any kind of thing that is physically abrasive will kind of damage the barrier of my very thin skin. So I don't use a lot of anything that would be rough on my skin. So after I cleanse in the morning, and let me back up for just a moment. If I am having a rosacea breakout, you might find this helpful as well. I will use this gel. I will also take an anti-inflammatory like ibuprofen, and then I will also use what I have found to be kind of helpful, and that is an antihistamine. So I will take a generic loratadine, which is generic, I believe, for Claritin. If I don't have anything else, I might take a Benadryl, and that seems to help with the histamines that flare up in inflammation and when you're having some kind of rosacea event. So that is what I do in those cases. Periodically, I might take Oracea, which is an over-the-counter antibiotic, but typically not. This is usually what I do for a flare-up. Okay, so now back to my morning regimen. I've cleansed my face. Sometimes I might use a salicylic toner or some kind of oil control pad, but only on occasion. I don't use that regularly. These are the products that I use all of the time, regardless of the season and on a daily basis. So I'm going to take a drink of water here because that's very important to your skin health. Which is to hydrate appropriately. And those of you that watched my video over the holidays and around New Year's about habit change, I hope you noticed that I took 5 sips of water, not just one, when I picked up my water bottle to take a drink. So I'm still holding true to that resolution. My next product, but the product that I put on right after I have cleansed my skin, is another product that I get online. I get it online just because it's easiest for me. You probably can find this also maybe at a local drug store. And this is called True Skin. It's a vitamin C facial serum that has vitamin E and hyaluronic acid, which is a natural moisturizer. I'm not going to go into all of the chemistry of this because I no doubt would butcher it, but most of you that are interested in skincare are familiar with hyaluronic acid. I use this immediately after cleansing, both morning and night. This is very inexpensive and it contains herbal infusions, aloe, some different things. You can take a look at the ingredients on the bottle if you get some. But if you want to treat yourself, this is not an expensive treat for your skin. Again, I use this morning and night. It has kind of a calming effect on my skin. The next thing that I will use is some kind of ferulic acid, which is also an antioxidant vitamin C product. Now you can get a more expensive version of this that is SkinCeuticals Ferulic C, but I have found this works really well. It's called vitamin C ferulic acid. Again, it's an antioxidant, and I do let each layer dry before I put on the next one. Stuart, can you see that? And again, we will put links to all of these. There is also a skin defense product that this Zeo Skincare puts out. I did a whole lengthy video once on their skincare products, and I like it very much as well, but it tends to be kind of pricey too, so I select the things within this line that I really find to be the most beneficial. And one of those products then is this growth factor serum. Now this I put on after the vitamin C, and a lot of times I might use this just at night, though you can use it both day and night. And it really seems to help with the firmness of my skin. And I do like it. Again, it's a little pricier, so it's something you might want to put on a list, on a Mother's Day list, on a Christmas gift list, as a stocking stuffer. But I really do like it, and a little bit goes a long way. So again, I think it's worth the investment. Now, I've often said I'm a sunscreen Nazi. And Stuart, while I'm talking about sunscreen, show them something pretty. Show them the pretty Wagila in the back that has all sorts of bees humming on it, and the pretty Gertrude Jekyll rose that's spitting out a few blooms behind it.
All right, keep talking about your stuff.
Yeah, and that Wagila, by the way, you guys, is one of the easiest shrubs to grow. I keep it pruned up, and I think I'm going to do a video on that pretty soon. But boy, do the pollinators love it. You can see all of those happy bees. But back to sunscreen. So I have showed many times that my favorite sunscreen is just the liquid sunscreen by Neutrogena. And I use it all over my neck, my décolleté, my hands, my lower arms, and then I might use a spray-on sunscreen or some other kind of sunscreen on the rest of my body. But for my face, I really like that liquid sunscreen by Neutrogena, and it's a little less pricey than other versions. A little bit goes a long way, and I pretty much always request it as a stocking stuffer. Sometimes you can find it at places like even Ross for Less, or different discount stores and buy a 2-pack. So I really like it. I've showed it to you before, but I don't know that I have showed you this other sunscreen, which I do use on my face. This is a Zeo product. I love this. If there's any one product I would not skimp on, it would be this one. It is Smart Tone Broad Spectrum Skin, I guess they do call it a sunscreen, SPF 50. And I love this stuff because it helps even out your skin tone. And if you tend to be kind of red and blotchy, it helps tremendously. And what I like about it is I don't use it exclusively alone underneath my makeup, because I think if you use a foundation, the more foundation you use as you get older, the more it can fall in the lines of your face and in your wrinkles and pre-age you. So this is how I use it. And I've showed you this before because some of you have commented how much you like this technique too. I put it on the back of my hand in the morning, and I just do one little dollop. About that much, maybe a little bit more. Remember, I might already have, if it's really sunny, I'll put an underlayer first of that liquid Neutrogena. But I put this on, and then because during the summer I like to have a little bit of a bronzy glow, I use this Bareminerals Bronzer. It's got a little bit of luminescence to it. It does not go orange, especially if you shake it up really well. And I cut it with that Zeo sunscreen, and I will put just a little tiny bit, just a little pinprick onto the back of my hand. And then the third thing, which I don't have here because this is a very personal thing, what kind of foundation you like to use. So I use all different kinds of foundation. I use The Ordinary, I have used Garnier, I've used just different kinds. That seems to be a very personal thing. But I do use a liquid foundation, typically that already has sunscreen, so I'm layering multiple layers of sunscreen. I put a very tiny dollop on my hand along with it, and then I mix it all together, and then I put it on my face. And that tends to dilute the foundation. And in addition, this sunscreen gets a little bit more coverage. So overall, without having a real heavy layer of foundation on my face, I get good coverage, and it tends to conceal whatever redness I've got going on. Some of you have asked, oh, every day do I have makeup on when I work in the garden? And I might not every day have a full face of makeup, but every day I always have this combination on my face because I have to have this barrier to protect my skin against the sun, against humidity, against whatever kind of environmental assault my face might experience, my skin might experience. So that's pretty much what I use in terms of skincare in the morning and at night. Sometimes at night, after I put on my initial layer of this True Skin, about every other day, depending on whether or not it's winter or summer, and if my skin seems to be having a flare-up, I will use just an over-the-counter retinol. Again, I get this online. It's inexpensive and it works well. And it has a retinol 2.5 in it, along with hyaluronic acid, vitamin E, and niacinamide. What else? And some other kind of wrinkle care. But I like it. We'll put links to all of these products in the description. And if you're not sure how to find the description, go back and watch Stuart's tutorial he put together for us. But also we'll put links up in the corner for you. So that's pretty much my regimen on that account. Now I'm not going to go into it a lot, but I will tell you that in terms of skincare treatments, about, depending on what I'm having done, 2 to 3 times a year, I will have micro needling, not microdermabrasion, which would be really harsh on my skin, but micro needling. And I have that done at Dr. Brew's Premier Plastic Surgery. It's a skincare treatment. It is not plastic surgery, but I have found it really, really beneficial. And right now, I've been using kind of a version of microneedling called Vivace, V-I-V-A-C-E, and we'll try to put a link to what this procedure is like. It is also a microneedling, but it has a thermal element to it and much less downtime. So with a regular microneedling, my face will be inflamed and red for at least 2 days, sometimes 3 days. With this Vivace, I don't have nearly the downtime, and it really seems to be a little bit more efficacious. And it's one of those treatments that because the improvement tends to be incremental, that you may not notice it immediately, though some people do. But boy, if you stop doing these treatments, you will notice immediately that you haven't done it in a while. You have what I call termination shock. So you terminate doing something, and then all of a sudden you recognize that you need to go back and renew that procedure, which, by the way, termination shock comes from a really wonderful book on climate change, a novel about climate change. It is fiction called Termination Shock, so I would highly recommend you read it. It's very compelling. So I put that into this category. Boy, I can sure tell if I haven't done it in a while. In terms of how refined my skin looks, the size of my pores, its texture, fine lines and wrinkles, and definitely I would recommend it. So right now, if you're in the Oklahoma City area or not, and you want to travel to Oklahoma City, they're doing a special at, and we will put contact information for Dr. Brew, but at his office you can get $50 worth of their reward points, and I believe call them when you make your appointment and ask them, just mention my name, and they will give you a pre-operative, though I use that term loosely, let's say a pre-treatment kit and also a post-treatment kit for this Vivace procedure. So if you're interested in this, I definitely would recommend it, because it's not, it's a little bit invasive, but certainly it's not plastic surgery or anything like that. I just consider it really good skincare hygiene. It is imperative, if you do it during the summer months, that you really protect your skin after this treatment. I tend to have mine when I'm not going to be out in the sun so much. So I typically reserve my treatments for in the fall and in late winter going into spring. So that's kind of my lineup. Again, I'm not an expert, but because so many of you ask so kindly, I appreciate your compliments. We're all just trying to stay as youthful looking as we can. And can I just say that I don't consider it vain, because so much of how we feel about how we look affects how we respond to life, with what energy, with what generosity, and with what enthusiasm that we kind of interact in life. And so for me, it's not vain, it's just all a part of living a garden-inspired life, taking care of your skin. So Stuart, did I answer all of those burning questions?
I think so.
That you had about skincare? Again, if I update my regimen, I will let you know. I will provide all of the links. This has worked for me. If you have a different type of skin, it may not work for you, but I do highly recommend all of these products. Just do your due diligence, try them out first to make sure you are not allergic to any of the ingredients, and let me know what you think. So there you go. There, by virtue of popular viewer input, is my skincare regimen. And here is my question of the day, because it's going to be all about skincare. And other than sunscreen, tell me what is the most important thing in your skincare regimen, what you find the most effective, whether it's a treatment, whether it's a topical agent, or even a supplement. Let me know what you find to be your most effective skincare regimen is. Well, here is my kind of garden party outfit of the day. My earrings are some of those inexpensive wooden earrings that are on my Mother's Day gift list that I got online. My dress, I really like this dress. It's so comfortable. In fact, I wore it to one of the events for my son's wedding, and it came from World Market. They sometimes have kind of unusual bohemian kind of clothes there, and at a really good price point, so you might check World Market. My bracelet came from a shop that used to be on Western Avenue called the French Cowgirl, and my booties are Forever 21, and they're very comfortable, and I think they look kind of cute with my flowy prairie dress. So there you go. There is my outfit of the day.